Several years ago, I attended a conference every winter called Faith Walkers. Like most conferences, people came for the keynote speakers, the worship music, and the big moments on stage. But oddly enough, my favorite part happened before any of that. I'm an introvert, and whenever I'm surrounded by thousands of people, I'm always looking for a quiet place to recharge. One morning, I wandered into the auditorium long before the first main session started. I expected an empty room. Instead, I found the band rehearsing. They were doing a sound check. At first, I figured I'd just stay for a few minutes. Instead, it became my favorite ritual of the entire conference. Every morning, I'd grab breakfast, head into the auditorium early, and sit quietly near the back. Journal, think, and watch them prepare. Most people only saw the polished performance. I got to see the rehearsal. And it completely changed the way I think about excellence. During the actual session, everything looked effortless. The music flowed, the transitions were seamless, the lighting, the timing, the harmonies, it all felt perfectly natural. But during rehearsal, it was wonderfully messy. They stopped songs halfway through. Someone suggested changing the key. The drummer asked to repeat a section. The sound engineer adjusted microphones. The worship leader talked through transitions. Sometimes they'd play the same 30 seconds 3 or 4 times before moving on. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't polished. It was simply people doing the work. And yet, there's where the magic actually happened. The performance wasn't created when the audience walked in. It had already been created long before anyone applauded. The audience simply got to enjoy the end result. That realization stayed with me ever since. We live in a world obsessed by performances. We celebrate promotions, the championships, the best-selling books, the viral videos, the successful businesses, the standing ovations. But we rarely see the thousands of quiet moments that made those victories possible. We don't see the early mornings, the failed attempts, the awkward first drafts, the practice presentations, the repeated conversations, the countless adjustments that nobody applauds. Those are the dress rehearsals. They're where excellence is actually built. In fact, if I were given backstage passes to a concert, I know exactly what I'd ask for. Not the front row seats, not the after party. I'd ask to watch the sound check. Because that's where the humanity lives. That's where you see professionals become even better. That's where you realize that even people at the top of their craft are still refining, adjusting, and practicing. The older I get, the more I appreciate that process. At work, if someone asks me to watch a practice presentation before a big meeting, I'm all in. If someone wants to rehearse a difficult conversation or run through an idea one more time, I'm happy to help. Because I know what rehearsal does. It builds confidence, it exposes weaknesses, it creates excellence before anyone else ever sees it. And maybe that's the encouragement we all need. Don't resent the repetitions. Don't rush the practice. Don't be discouraged by the drafts, the revisions, or the moments when you have to stop and start over. Those aren't signs you're failing. They're signs you're rehearsing. The world celebrates the main session, but the main session lasts an hour. The rehearsal shapes a lifetime. So whatever you're building, whatever you're learning, whatever stage you're preparing to step onto, fall in love with the dress rehearsal. Fall in love with the practice nobody sees or notices. Fall in love with repetitions that nobody applauds. Because when your moment finally arrives, when it's time for your own main session to start, it won't feel effortless because you got lucky. It will feel effortless because you practiced until excellence became second nature. The audience may only remember the performance, but you'll know where it was really made. In the quiet moments, in the empty room, during the sound check.